Everyone. We decided to speak tonight about a topic that's called Torah and science. Even though it's a very general topic, you can mix hundreds of different lectures that fall into this category, Torah and science. I have my own Torah and science. I also made a very famous DVD about it, which became very, very popular, and it's always growing and growing in English and in Hebrew. And today I just found out they're translating it to Turkish and to Spanish and to Russian, which means it's working. You know, when there is demand, that means you did something good. Now, I don't take any credit for myself, of course, because I'm a salesman of the best products was ever made in history. The product of the creator of the world. I present his Torah. I show that everything the scientific world discovered, almost everything, I can show you that it was all written black on white in the Torah 3,321 years ago when the Torah was given to the Jews in public. It was a very primitive time, very primitive generation. Obviously, we never expected in our time to discover some of the most amazing discoveries in the scientific world. We didn't expect to find them in our Torah, in a generation that nobody even had a calculator or a telescope or nevertheless computer or anything like that. So it's very interesting. The specialty of this lecture is to prove without any doubt, not beyond reasonable doubt, like in a court. That's not good enough. Beyond any doubt that the Jewish book, the Jewish Torah, is the only divine book that was ever given to people in history. Now I know, if in case you are educated in religions and cults, you probably know that there are more than 80,000 religions and cults in the list in the internet, more than 80,000. And a normal person who is searching for God, and he wants to follow his instruction, and he wants to know the right path, it will take him hundreds of years to investigate all these religions and cults until he finally comes with the right conclusion. By the time he finds out, he has to be 1,000 years old. And of course, it's not realistic. So how does a normal, clever person start his research? Which religion is the most authentic one, or the only real religion? How does it start? It goes in the right chronological order. Which one was the first one? And the truth is, the first one is Judaism. The Christians and the Muslims do not deny that. 3,321 years ago, millions of Jews, at that point they were not Jewish yet. They are called the Hebrews, the descendants of Abraham, the Hebrew, as the Torah named him Hebrew. Hebrew in Hebrew means one-sided, which means he lives in a generation that everyone that follow religion, follow fake religion, which means it's all cults. Thousands of cults in his time. People worship the sun, people worship the moon, people worship animals, all kinds of statues, all kinds of false belief. And here comes Abraham, and he decided it cannot be, he has to be a creator to the world. He began his journey when he was a little kid, and eventually when he was 48 years old, he started to teach the truth to the world, and the rest is history. About almost 200 years later, his descendants are standing in Mount Sinai after 210 years of slavery in Egypt. They came out 49 days after the exodus of Egypt. Millions of Hebrews are listening and hearing the voice of God for the first and last time in history. Up to now, no Muslims, no Christians, no Buddhists can deny any word of what I mentioned. But it gets much better. Even though Christianity started 2,000 years ago, they never try ever to put any doubts about Judaism. The opposite. They adopted Judaism 100%. Christianity never tried to say that Judaism is not a divine religion. The opposite. They call it the Old Testament, which means God gave part one, and now he decided to give a continuation from now on, which is the New Testament. But it's from the same God, same creator of the world, same story, just continuing from now on. Why? There is another actor in a movie. His name is JC, the son of Miriam and Joseph. and he's supposedly the Son of God, according to their belief, and he's going to be the Messiah, and the rest we know more or less what they're saying. So far, they're not trying to deny that Judaism is divine. The opposite. All Christians admit Judaism is a divine religion that was given to the Jews in front of millions of witnesses in 3,321 years ago. Muslims, 600 years after Christianity, came a person named Muhammad. He claimed Angel Gabriel gave him the Quran, and he's the new prophet. He never denied Judaism as well. The opposite. Half of the Quran, it's copying from the Torah. Ibrahim met Sarah, he had a son, and he has a grandson, and his grandson, Yosef, it's Yusuf. Doesn't matter, everybody understands. We're talking about the same people. Different accent, different pronunciation, but it's the same actors. They're not denying that the Jews received the Torah in front of millions of witnesses. However, from the time Judaism was accepted by the Jews, by the Hebrews, 80,000 times one person came and told the story. One person, remember, I put the highlight on the one. Never ever more than one person came to start a religion or a cult. Never. Always one individual, which is very interesting. 80,000 times, not one of them thought to bring 5, 6 witnesses to back up his story. We're going to see why. Soon we're going to understand why. And let's organize the lecture in few steps. Step number 1, we already went a little bit too far. My introduction was just a preview of what I'm going to talk about, but let's go to step 1 now. Step 1 means we first have to understand that there is a creator to the world. If we don't understand, if we don't know 100% that there is a creator to the world, everything else will be defected later on. We will have problems listening to his instruction, to believe the Torah is from him. It will create a lot of conflicts. So step number 1, I have to know scientifically there is a God. He created the world. He created me. He has a purpose in his creation. I need to know all this, not to believe, to know. Believing in science means not knowing. When a person says, I believe, a scientist says, we believe, everybody knows research is not so serious. They believe. We'll wait 5 years and see what their beliefs will bring us. So far, it's only a theory. When they say we know for sure, nobody argue. Well, they have full confidence that tomorrow at 2 o'clock there will be an eclipse. So they know. Why? It's math. Math, it's an exact science. Let's move on. How do I know there is a creator to the world? The proof is really, really much more simple than what you expect. I'm willing to swear, even though it's the first time I'm in this beautiful house, I'm willing to swear that this house was designed by a human being. I'm willing to put my life on the line, my children's life, my wife's life. Not that I hate them, I love them very much. But I'm willing to put everything I own and everything I will ever have, and I'm willing to bet that this house was designed and was built by someone like you and I, a person with a clever mind, with talent, etc., etc. Why? Because there is a rule. If there is a creation, it had a creator. This round table, that it's very symmetric and has the right measurement, was not made by a random explosion. If you think that this table was done by itself, you don't belong here. You belong somewhere, I don't want to say where. You understand? That's very simple. There is a creation. There was a creator. A brain with 10 trillion connections inside, the size of an apple. 10 trillion connections. 10 trillion. 80% liquid. And inside that size of an apple, full of water, full of gel, 10 trillion connection with very, very thin wire, that every 1,000 wires inside the human brain is equal to 1 hair out of my head. If I pull a hair now, it will be thick like 1,000 wires inside that brain that are very sophisticated, in a very, very sophisticated way, inside liquid, and if you cut one of them, the person is finished. You cut one of them, he cannot move his hand, or he cannot move his head, or he cannot remember anymore, or he cannot hear anymore. It will make him a very serious damage. So cutting 1 or 2 wires, putting a person out of commission, is it possible to think that a brain like this was done by a random explosion as a result of some kind of a physical pressure? Who is the brilliant person that would dare to claim such a claim? That something so sophisticated was done by itself without any planner. Does anybody here in this room that have a thought or think that something like this can be done by itself?
So people are, some people would say that human beings came about because they evolved. So, but what you're saying, so even from what we've evolved from, it was also from the same situation, that it had a creator.
It had a start. Things are always developing and becoming sometimes better, and sometimes there's mutation, and what they call evolution. It's possible that one species was developed from a combination of different species. I'm going to the beginning point. The first material that was made in this earth, and we see everything we have here, oxygen, we have rocks, we have water, we have sand, we have trees, we have everything that we have, fruit, 2 million different species of animals, and a very sophisticated machine called human being. Is it possible to think that this entire brilliant creation was done by itself? Nobody ever planned it. There was an accident, and a bomb went somewhere, I don't know, something happened. I don't really know even how they tried to explain the beginning point. They call it the Big Bang, whatever. The Big Bang theory. There was a random explosion, and everything fell into place. Obviously, if I would come and claim that I walked here on Riverside Drive, and next to the garbage can, I was very surprised because there was a bomb, something exploded, and pieces started to fly all over and connect in the air, and the glass came right into place, and everything, and the battery went in, and the cover, and all the pieces came and connected, and it fell on my hand, and it locked, and here it is. Let's put it that way. You will tell Mr. Shweki, make sure next time when you invite this fool not to waste our time. He doesn't belong in giving lectures. He belongs in a mental institution. This is what you're going to say about me after you heard my claim about the watch. But you never said it about the thousands of famous professors who give this nonsense to all their students for 200 years in the United States. You never said it. Why? If we are consistent, we have to be 100%. If I'm a fool, there are much bigger fools than me. Because I only claim that the watch was done by itself. They claim the whole world was done by itself. A brain of a human being is 1 trillion times more sophisticated than this watch. If I'm a fool, how would you name them? And the difference is, when I give a lecture, you think 1,000,000 times if to show up or no. But when they give a lecture, thousands of people standing online and buy their books. So far, everything I say makes sense. Let's move on. If you have questions, you can always stop me and ask me. I prefer to answer your specific question to just force a lecture on you. So let's move on. Step number 2. After I understand that if there is a creation, it must be that there was a creator, then I have a second step. Second step says that the more sophisticated is the creation, it indicates that the creator was also very sophisticated. To make a table, you don't have to be a genius. To make a laptop, you have to be a lot smarter. And to make an F-16 plane, you need a lot more knowledge and talent and many years of research. Which means the more sophisticated the creation, it indicates about the brilliance of the creator. And we all have to agree that nothing in the creation is more sophisticated than the human being. Take the dumbest person in the world, is more sophisticated in the entire system, the computer system of NASA, all of them combined. And if you want, I can prove to you. In order for us to create a combination of an eye and a brain, the scientists claim that you have to circle the world 3 times with computer, one connects to the other. One computer connects to the other, circled the earth 3 times to create just the combination between the eyes and the brain. Everything the eye see sends to the brain. Everything is recorded in the conscious and in the subconscious, and later when you need it, it comes in the right time out. It's a very, very sophisticated system. And you have to know, the eye see not only what you are paying attention to. I'm sitting in this room, and I already recorded every second billions of details and items in this room that I'm not even aware of that I'm recording it as I speak. I even record things behind me which I'm not even looking at. Every beep in the street, every honk of a car, every dog that bark in the street, if you call me now 5 years from now and you hypnotize me, you will see that all the information is happening as we speak. Everything has been recorded in my brain to the last detail, everything, which is very interesting. This is a very sophisticated computer. It can never be done by itself. Step number 3, did we ever see, ever in history, a person who created something without a purpose? Please show me. Show me any item that was done ever by any human being that you ever recorded in your history. Did you ever see somebody made something just like that for no reason? If a person made glasses, there's a purpose for it. They made a laptop, there's a purpose for it. A table, even this glass that worth a penny. Do you know how many weeks the planners of this cup were sitting and arguing until they decided to plan it that way? It has to be narrow in the bottom, wider in the top. They made a level here. They made on top something that when you put them one on top of the other, they will become one piece. And they made all kinds of things, and they made it symmetric, and they made it flat, and they made it straight, and sometimes if it's a bottle, so they make it narrow that a person can hold it with one hand. You know how many things? And they made it first, and they asked people, what do you think about it? And the people try it for a week, and people wrote the comments, 1 penny. And in the end, they came up with a final product. Do you ever think that something like this would ever become without a purpose? If this has a purpose, we don't need to be a genius to know that the world has a much bigger purpose. In that case, we're going to step number 5. If there is a purpose, is it possible that the manufacturer of the world created such a sophisticated world and put us here as the main product? We are the main machine in this world. We are the number 1 out of 2 million species. We are the most clever one. We are the most sophisticated one. We control nature. We control the animals. We control all the raw material. Everything in this world was designed for us. You don't need to be a genius to see that the planner of this world planned it for me and you. Is it possible that he would put us here and never tell us the purpose of the creation? In that case, why did he bother? The point is like this. When someone made this laptop, go now all over the world. If you find any brand new laptop in a box without a manual, put an X on my website. Don't ever waste a minute on my lectures. You don't need to. That means I don't know what I'm talking about, but you never find. Every product that they ever made come with a book of instructions. Why? If there's no book of instruction, why bothering? If I would never see the instruction of this computer, well, in my case, I have Joey, so he is my manual. But any other person that doesn't have assistant, he has to sit hours and learn all the combinations, all the benefits that the laptop offers. If not, maybe he will use 0.1% from the ability that this laptop has. What would he know? Few, 5, 6 things, and there's so many other things the computer offers you, you will never know. You don't know if you press 4 buttons, you can do a reset and save your computer. How would you know such a thing without a manual? In a billion years, you would never know. You don't know what to have. You need the engineer of the computer to tell you all the secrets about his creation. Anything that was ever made with instruction, what it was made for, and how to use it. So far, everything is clear. So we have 5 steps. First, how do we know there is God? We look at the creation. We know there was a creator. Second, if the creation is very brilliant, it indicates about the ability of the creator. Third, we never found any creation without a purpose. And the next step is, how can it be that there is a creation and the Creator did not tell us the purpose? We see everything was made for us, and of course He gave us book of instruction. In that case, where is that book? Where is that book? Comes Judaism and give you the answer. We're going to investigate. We're not going to believe all kinds of claims. We want to investigate and to know 100%. Come millions of people in the world, what we call Jews. Today there's not that many. Maybe there are 2 million Orthodox Jews who live according to the instruction of the Creator. The rest live in a darkness, in a spiritual darkness. They have no idea what they live for. If you ask them, if you interview them on the street, please tell me what's the purpose of your life? To make money, to be healthy, to get married and have children, to have hobbies, to have vacations, to sleep in bed all day, to get a tan on a beach on my yacht. Everyone has his dreams. To be a famous athlete, to be an NBA star, to be a rock and roll guitar player. Everyone has a dream. Technically, if you review the list of dreams that people have, people who are not aware of the book of God, you can compare it to the dreams of the monkeys, with only one difference, that the monkeys has it easy. They don't have to sweat for it, and we have to work 30 years for it. Is it possible that the monkey, that I'm controlling him, will have everything that I'm dreaming about just as he's born, and I'm going to work 30 years for it? Did you ever see a monkey who had to work 30 years to pay the mortgage? 30 years to have a place to live? As he's born, he has a place to live. Did you see a monkey that has to spend 5 hours in the kitchen every day to prepare money to his family? 1, 2, 3, they have food. Whatever they want. The dogs. He come to my driveway, he has garbage bags. Chinese, Italian, Persian, Arabic food. Whatever we ate that day. Now, when the dogs eat the leftover, they're not really suffering. They don't feel, look, I'm eating the leftover with germs. If the dog knew how miserable he is, that he has to eat my leftover, then he would suffer. But since he's not aware of it, he has a great feeling. Look at me. I come, I don't even know what to choose. My son started to put food for the cat. The cat was very skinny. 1 week later, it's 10 times, not double, 10 times fatter in 1 week. The cat became. He gets so confused. He comes, he doesn't know. My son stuffed the deck. This, that. So the cat, forget it. He cannot walk through the stairs soon. Why is it? Everything for free, everything delicious, they eat. We have to work very hard. First, you have to go to work. Then by the time you earn the money, you have to go to the grocery and buy everything. And then by the time you get home, you have to start cleaning it, peeling it, cooking it, making everything ready. Not always it comes delicious. Sometimes you get on your head from the husband if the food is horrible. Depends who you married. Yeah? But anyway, after all that, you eat 2 minutes. I hope I didn't touch a sensitive point.
3 months, huh?
Finally, after 5 hours of working, 2 minutes pleasure, and then another 20 minutes in the bathroom, and that's life, and that's how it is. Now, what's the purpose of life? To be rich? 98% of the people in the world are not rich. If that was the purpose of the Creator, He would make everyone rich. Since 98% of the people in the world are not rich, and many of them cannot even afford a piece of bread a day, it's very difficult. Africa, Sudan, most of the Arab countries, even in Israel, more than half of the population go to sleep hungry. 500,000 Jewish kids in Israel going to sleep hungry, cannot afford food. You know, you hear about all these famous millionaires in Tel Aviv, but most of the kids in Israel are very poor, cannot afford anything. So most of the world is poor. If the purpose of the creation was to pleasure the people here and to do it in a materialistic way, then everybody had to have equal pleasure. There's no reason why one creation will have full pleasure and the other one only half, and the other one nothing. So obviously that's not the purpose. To be healthy, most people in the world are sick with at least one sickness. At least one. This kind of problem, ulcer, eyes problem, allergies. Ooh, It's millions of things that you can name. So that wasn't the purpose, because then in that case, everyone would be healthy. The purpose was to be happy, happiness, to be happy. I promise you 90% of Americans are living on Prozac today. Yeah, anti-depression medicine, whether they're rich, poor, they have a job, they don't have a job, they're successful, they're movie stars, either drugs or Prozac or alcohol. Why? Everyone with stress, almost no one is happy. They even ask Bill Gates, is your wealth brought you ever happiness? He said, absolutely not. There was in an interview in prime time in Israel. He said, it only brought me convenience, but never happiness. They asked him, you are the right person to ask. Does money bring happiness? He said, he got angry. Absolutely not. When I die, I would leave my children only $10 million. Can't afford even an apartment in Midtown. The children of Bill Gates, after he gave $17 billion for donations so far, you know. So what do you see from it? He comes and declares, I have everything, and never brought me happiness. You don't need him. King Solomon already wrote it in his will. I had everything, I controlled the world, and my conclusion to life is, fear God, follow his instruction, because that's what human being is all about, nothing else. You were created for a purpose. Here is the book. For your own benefit, listen to him. When you die, he will send you to the place he wants to send you, to pay you for your eternal reward. Or God forbid, if you go against him, there is a price to pay. You choose. You have free choice. Nobody forces you. You are clever. You see the details. You want to be righteous? Fine. You want to be wicked? Fine. Nobody puts a gun to your head right now. But eventually, everyone gets reward or the opposite, depend on the choices he made in life. You don't need to wait 70 years to die and to see what you get, good or bad. In our own life, we are paying for our choices. You choose the wrong woman, you get married, life is a nightmare. Arguments, disrespect, violence, police, 911, drug problems, alcohol, all kinds of things, put you on television. You don't want to even go home, or she doesn't want to come home. Depends who's worse. So one bad choice, 1 minute of a bad choice, 40 years of suffering. And people who think divorce solves the problem, sometimes it makes it much worse. So really, once you make one bad choice, that's it. Sometimes there's no cure for it. Also, in health, you breathe some kind of material that it's not supposed to, and it made you a permanent damage. Now you live 40 years with this damage. You drove like crazy. You were only 17. You get into an accident, you lost your legs all your life. You're in a wheelchair, which means we are paying already for the choices that we made. I have a whole lecture that the whole concept of the free choice works exactly like the GPS. If you drive your car, for those of you who drive, you have a GPS. What's the GPS? You put an address. This is my destination in life. I have to go from Manhattan to Muncie. So I have to go 5 highways. I go here, this exit, this. I get to this street, 5 lights. I make a right, I make a left, 5 miles, and I get home. What happened if while I'm driving, I made one mistake? I'm supposed to get off this exit, and I was talking to my friend, and I forgot, and now I missed the exit. What happened? Sometimes, no big deal. I lost 5-10 minutes. I make a U-turn, I went back, I corrected it. Sometimes, traffic. 2 hours happened to me once. Miss the exit. If I get off the exit, 2 minutes later I'm home. Now I miss the exit. 3 hours I stuck in construction. The road is closed. Imagine the feeling. What a fool! How did I miss the exit? Sometimes it can be critical. Now, what happened when a person missed the exit? What happened to the GPS? Right away, you hear recalculating. Your entire future changed completely. There's not one detail in your future will stay the same. Your children will never be the same. Your money will never be the same. Your health will never be the same. One bad choice in life, and the rest is all changing. Which means you are 25 years old. You go on a date with Rachel. No, you hesitate. Then you go on a date with Esther. And you're hesitating now. You don't know which one. Rachel, Esther. What's the point? Rachel, very righteous girl. Very strong, devoted, following her mission in life to be righteous. And Esther, also a little bit righteous, but not like Rachel, because she's busy with other things. Esther also is a multi-millionaire. She's gonna get you a house, and you don't have to worry about work. Your life will be supposedly easy, but she's not into religion so much. She's not such a spiritual person. She's busy with fashion shows, and makeup, and art, and vacations, etc., etc. And this girl, she's not so pretty, she's not so rich, but very righteous. Now it's a difficult choice. You go with the beauty and the money. 20 years later, you review your life. Now over here, you don't know what would have happened. You don't know. But according to the Torah, when a person dies, first thing he sees a movie of all the mistakes he made in his life and the results of every mistake. Which means, if a person was a brilliant person and he never learned Torah, he see what would happen if he would go to yeshiva and learn Torah. They show him, this is what you were supposed to be, and look what a loser you became. They show him, this is what you were supposed to be with your potential, and look what you ended up with. Or, this is the girl you were supposed to marry, this is the girl you ended up marrying. Look what would happen if you married the righteous girl. They're showing you beautiful house full of children, all of them righteous, and now you have your children all married, they all have healthy life, and everyone is very righteous and humbled, and beautiful life. And then you went with the beauty and the money, drug problems, 5 times divorce, one thing leads to another. You ended up living, you're 55, 70 years old, whatever, you're lonely, you live with your dog in some apartment, you don't have children and not grandchildren, and now you're reviewing your 2 lives. This is what I'm supposed to be, and look what I became. One choice. You hesitate. I take her or I take her. If you took the right one, your life will never be the same. You took the wrong one, your life will never be the same. This is the whole concept of the free choice. And by the way, from 2 million species that lives in this world, the only one who has free choice to choose whatever they want without any interference with their choices is the human being. No other animal has a free choice. They all live with instinct. They see fire, they run away. When the tiger sees a zebra, if he's hungry, you cannot tell him, I'm sorry, I'm taking pictures. Don't eat the zebra yet. I didn't finish. Wait 5 minutes. Wait 5 minutes, I'll give you 2 zebras. I give you interest. Wait 5 minutes. Let me take. He's hungry, he's attacking. There's no way to talk to him, even in his language. There's no way. Why? I'm hungry, I'm attacking. I'm not hungry, I don't touch you. I see fire, I run away. I see water, I jump in. That's how animals are. People can control themselves. One time they jump, one time they don't jump, depending on the situation. This is what, there's a whole lecture about free choice. Let's move on. How do I know now that what the Jews claim is true? Not believing. How do I know 100% that this is a divine book and every letter inside is divine? Why it's important to know? If I prove 100% that the Torah is divine, can I stay the same after? Let's say I'm right now, I live with no religion. I don't believe in anything, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in any law system, nothing. And a person just proved to me that this book is the book of God. What do you think? It would be clever to ignore the book after I saw that it's the book of God, or the opposite? I would have to put all my efforts to learn the book and to practice as much as I can. What do you think? Which one of the two is the correct way? To see, to be impressed, God, beautiful book, nice book of instruction. I just saw the proofs, now I know there is God, now I know the Torah is real, I know Judaism is the only real religion. I'm not in a mood for it, leave me alone. I just want to eat and drink, go to the bar, do whatever I want. When I die, I worry about it. Is this the right approach? Or a person should say, no matter what, whether I like it, whether I don't like it, whether it's easy, whether it's difficult, whether whatever, I have to put every drop of my sweat and my energy into it to become successful in a mission that my Creator put me for in this world. What do you think is the right approach?
The question.
They're afraid to say the first one. You know what? Because then it's going to be no return from there. No, so what's the answer? Huh? Should I answer for you? Huh? You know what the answer, no? Anybody disagree with me? Huh? No, don't be embarrassed. Let's prove to you that the Torah is divine. The Torah, it's really not one Torah, it's two Torahs, written and oral. Why you need two Torahs? Because if all the instructions of God will be written in one book, from that moment on, every person, whether he's Jewish or not, have free access to all the secrets and all the instructions of God. In that case, all the concept of conversion, that a non-Jew can come and convert into Judaism with the acceptance of the Jewish court, after they test him and they see he's sincere, loses value. Because every Ahmed and every Chris go to his home. In those days, everyone had a beard. Everyone was covering their head. All women were covered from head to toe. So what do they have to do? Just change their name to an Hebrew name and come to a different country and say, hey, Shalom, how are you? We are Jewish. That's it. How would you know? Because they have all the instruction. They already come with tefillin, they come with talit, they come with a siddur, they have their own Sefer Torah. How do you know who is his grandmother? How do you know? There's no way to know. It's not like today, you can Google it. 3,000 years ago, if an Ahmed came and said, my name is Yosef, and my grandmother was Miriam, and my grandmother was Sarah, how do you know? He has everything. He has tefillin, he comes, he knows how to pray, he writes his own Sefer Torah. Everything you do, he does. He knows how to slaughter the animal, everything. The answer is, that's why God was not interested. Because the Torah says that he chose the Jews from all the nation. You are my children. I chose you from all the nation to be mine. I don't give you permission to be like the rest of the nations. There are two different leagues. The league for you and the league for the rest of the world. Even among the Gentiles, there's different levels. Some nations are higher than others. Some are blessed, some are cursed for different reasons. That's not the topic tonight. But even among the Jews, there are different levels. I'm not a Kohen. If my friend is a Kohen, he's higher than me. Does it make me upset? Absolutely not. I respect God's decision. He chose Aaron, and he blessed him, and he gave him a gift. You and your descendants are special, holy. You're going to be my servant in the holy temple, and you do all the ceremonies for the rest of the nation. And for that, I will reward you with free income for the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about income. Everyone gives you 10% from the income, from the wheat, from the barley, from everything, from the animals. You are wealthy. You don't have to worry about making a living. You're servicing all the services in the holy temple of Jerusalem, and that's it. It's a gift. Does it bother me? No. It's God's decision, and for sure it's right. He knows what he's doing. Then there is a second level, Levi. Also a servants of God in Bet HaMikdash in a different way. They sing in a choir. They also get all kinds of incomes. Different, less than Kohen. Does it bother me? No. Then there's man and a woman. A man is higher than a woman. Now I know all the women here right away get upset. The answer is not because the man is smarter than a woman. No, the Torah said the woman is smarter than a man. And women has benefits that men will never have. And the Torah said that you have to respect your wife and treat her like a queen and buy her gift and help her and never bother her and never yell at her and definitely no violence. And she has a lot of great rights. And when you marry her, you give her a contract. You already promise her in case you die one day how she's protected. Her financial future is protected. In case one day you get divorced for whatever reason, her rights come before even your children. First you have to pay her from what you left. There's a lot of rights to women in Judaism. And women can do everything they want. She can even put tefillin. She can do anything, almost everything she can do. And we have examples in the Gemara that Bruria, the wife of Rabbi Meir, was sitting with tefillin and arguing with the Chachamim. So there's no really discriminations against women. However, the only reason God made Eve was an assistant to Adam. Adam came first, and the Torah says God saw that it's not good for the man to be alone. That's why he made him an assistant. Ezer kenegdo, he made a woman to be his assistant. Who is more important, Obama or his vice president? Who makes the decision? I never heard once about the vice president of the United States. Everything I hear, Obama decided, Obama did not decide. What about the second person in America? You hardly hear about him. Why? He's important, he's very important, but the president is above him. And if he decides left and the president wants to go right, we have to listen to the king. And that's the way it works. However, don't make the wrong mistake here. Every person has a level. Does it mean that he's not important, that God doesn't love him? Not true. He loved the Jews and he also loved the non-Jews. And he said that you cannot steal from them, you cannot deceive them, you cannot offend them, you cannot kill them, and many, many other things. Why? I created them. And when they destroyed, for whatever reason, don't even be happy, etc., etc. Let's move on now. So, since we have a written and oral Torah, one more thing we have to know. There is no way to understand one verse in the written Torah before we clarify what it meant in the oral Torah. For instance, even simple sentences that every first grade kid in yeshiva supposedly understand because it's simple Hebrew, does not mean literally what it sounds like. For instance, Lo tevashel gdi b'chalev imo. Don't cook the meat of the gdi, of a sheep, in the milk of his mother. That's not what it means. That's what it sounds like. You take the mother's meat, after you slaughter it, you take the meat, you take the milk, that's the kid. Now you take the mother, you take some milk from her, you want to make yourself a steak with dairy liquid, whatever, you're not allowed. That's not what it means. Even a cow, it's the same thing. Deer, the same thing. You know, so how would you know the truth of the Torah? You must go into the oral law. I give one more example. How all Jews unite in Israel 60, 70 years ago? Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, Yemenites, Hasidim from Poland, from Germany, Syria, Yemen, Persia, from all over the world with no internet, no telephones, no connections, nothing whatsoever. Jews started to come, immigrants from all over the world. They opened their bags. Every one of them has a set of tefillin. One for the hand, one for the head. Same, all of it was black. You never saw one yellow. One red tefillin, never. Why? It's in fashion. What? Everyone will wear white shirt like this rabbi all the time, white. It's boring. I want blue, red, pink. What's in clothing? It keeps changing. Tefillin always stay black all over the world, even though they had no connection. I give you another example. The Polish Jews came, they opened up the Torah, they opened the scroll. 304,805 letters were written manually with a feather and ink. Deep it. Aleph. Baruch Hashem, I finished one. 2. 304,805 letters. Takes between 1 and 2 years to prepare a Sefer Torah. Jews from all over look completely different. One has a fair hat and long peot. This Syrian looks like Arab with kilt, with special tarbush like this, with a mustache or whatever. They open up, same Torah. The Polish one with the Yiddish accent, speaking Yiddish, and the Arab Jew that came from Syria or from Egypt, opened it, same Torah, with no connection. All over the world, same Torah. And same Gemara. Same Shulchan Aruch. Same mezuzah. 713 letters. Everything the same. Same Brit Milah. Tomorrow the Syrian Jew has Brit Milah. They speak with different accents, same tradition, same everything. The German Jew, same Brit Milah. Did you ever see someone who make Brit Milah over here? How come? It's not written in the Torah how to circumcise the babies. It's not written in the Torah how to prepare tefillin. It's not written in a Sefer Torah how to prepare a Sefer Torah. It's not written in the Torah how to observe the Sabbath. Basically, nothing is written in a written Torah. Nothing. Only the name of the mitzvah. No instructions whatsoever that the Goyim will not have access to it. And even when Jews were learning from the rabbis all the secrets of every mitzvah, it was forbidden to write it. If you wanted to write it, you only were allowed to write one subject at a time on a scroll, separately. Not everything together. Only one. Brit Milah we're learning this week. I'm writing myself comments. what the Rabbi was teaching, all the secrets. How does the Rabbi know? He got it from his Rabbi. How does his Rabbi know? From his Rabbi. From his Rabbi all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. And then 3,321 years later, you gather all the Jews in Israel, and everyone has the same Torah, the same 613 laws. By the Christians, it should have been the same way. No, 2,000 years of Christianity. How many different Christianities we have, do you know? Different Christianities. More than 150,000 different Christianities. Take the New Testament, put one next to the other. Everyone is different than the other. Mistakes, errors, human errors, missing words, missing dates, spelling, grammar problems. All kinds of things. Events described differently. Why? After 2,000 years, when they were copying, up to 500 years ago, it was all manually. Then they started to print. But it doesn't matter. When you copy from 100,000 letter, you have to make at least one mistake. So if I made one mistake, and he made one mistake in a different letter, there's already 3 versions. The original, I have one mistake, so mine is different, and he made in a different letter, so now there's already 3 versions. Now she copied. What happened? She made mistake. At least one. Sometimes you make 50 mistakes from 100,000 letters. It's all manual. You copy one by one. Sometimes you can skip the whole row by mistake. You copy. It happens all the time. So what happened? After 2,000 years, there's more than 150,000 different versions. When I say that to the priest, I had a famous debate against this Christian priest. Baruch Hashem, we had more than 1 million views all over the internet about it, about these things. I got so many thousands of responses from people. Now we translated Mizrachi Hashem to Hebrew. It's going to be a hit in Israel. The priest said in the end of the argument, I told him, after I showed him one mistake after the other, in the end, he said, you put me in a hole. I don't know how I'm going to dig myself out of there. So I told him, I just proved to you your religion is fake. It's not God's religion. It's not a divine religion. It's a man-made religion. If you have one answer, come, I'm not running away. And of course, they don't have any answer. So then he said, but my heart doesn't let me leave it. Who cares about the heart? So I told him, when Mustafa blew up the kids with the bus with the kids, he also believed in his heart that that's the right thing to do, to kill innocent children. The heart is nothing. One day you're depressed, one day you're happy, you drink a little bit l'chaim, so you're happy, now you don't have l'chaim, so you're upset. If we follow our hearts, for sure we'll end it to the wrong direction. The heart is nothing. We have to talk about knowledge, and it doesn't have answers. Why? Because it's a fake religion. Same thing Islam, full of human errors. Let me give you a few examples what I mean human errors. Here, 1,400 years ago, the Muslims received the religion. Muhammad came from the desert and he say, this is the book that I received from Angel Gabriel in the desert. Who is Angel Gabriel? The angel of the Jews. How did he know about him? Everybody knew Torah in those days. Everyone, even the Goyim. A very popular book. It's the best seller ever. Even better than Harry Potter. Harry Potter you don't have in every house in the world. The Torah probably in every house. No matter where you go, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Japan, even in China. There's much more apartments with the Torah than other books. So Muhammad brought the Torah, now at the Quran. Now remember, he never tried to claim that the Torah it's not real. The opposite, the Torah for sure is from God. Opening the Quran in Surah 40, verse 36 to 37, he described that Pharaoh and Haman had a meeting. Pharaoh and Haman. What's the problem? Haman was born almost 1,000 years after the last Pharaoh died. Haman and Pharaoh could never have a meeting. And here, according to the Quran, they wanted to build a tower to go and fight. They said that Pharaoh and Haman, they were 2 wicked people. And they had a meeting, and the meeting they planned that they want to make a tower and go and fight against God. But Haman and Pharaoh could never see each other because Haman was 1,000 years. How did they know about Haman? From Megillat Esther. That was about 2,400 years ago. And the Torah, 3,300 years ago. 900 years difference. Pharaoh of Egypt, the last Pharaoh, to the first Haman. There's no way they can ever see each other. No. Let's continue. Who is the mother of JC? Miriam, no? Mary, Maria. Same lady with a different dress. So, it's the same ladies, only one actress. Miriam, Maria, Mary, you name it. And who was the sister of Moshe? The sister of Moses and Aaron? Also Miriam. Miriam. In the Quran, they made one critical mistake. They mixed between the two Miriams and made them into one person. The mother of JC is the sister of Moses. 1,300 years difference in a generation. The Miriam, the prophet, this is before we enter the Holy Land. And Maria, the mother of JC, it's 1,300 years difference. And in the Quran, it says that the wife of Pharaoh raised Moshe. Who raised Moshe? The daughter of Pharaoh, Batia, the daughter of Pharaoh. But in the Quran, it says clearly the wife. The wife. She said, don't kill the baby that I found in the Nile. We may have use for him. The wife of Pharaoh found Moshe. The Torah said, no, it was the daughter of Pharaoh. Human errors like little children in a mental institution, first grade. No, I'm not exaggerating. Please, I'm 100% serious. I'm not even joking. The mistakes in the New Testament and the mistakes in the Quran are equal without any exaggeration or disrespect. That's the truth. Equal to a kid 5 to 6 years old in school today in Israel or in America, any Jewish kid that knows a little bit about Torah, he just learned for 2-3 months Torah, would not make such mistakes. My children, 5 years old, he would know that the one who found Moshe is the daughter of Pharaoh. He would not say the wife of Pharaoh. He would know that Pharaoh and Haman have nothing to do together. It's different times. He would know this. It's very simple things. Big mistakes in the Quran. When Maria brought the baby in her hand to the people of her town, they told her, oh, Maria, what a strange thing you brought. Oh, the sister of Aaron. Your father wasn't a bad man, and your mother was not a prostitute. And Maria, the daughter of Amram, the mother of JC, became the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron and Moshe. Critical mistakes in a book that 1.5 billion Arabs willing to die for it. Die and take us with them. Based on that phony book that it's full of human errors. Not to talk about it. Where is the best proof, besides the Torah, that the Holy Land belongs only to the Jews and no other nation? Which book in history will be just as equal proof to the Torah? If you come to the United Nations and you want to prove that in history the land always belonged to the Jews, which book you would use to prove your case? One guess. Quran. According to the Quran, Eretz Israel belong only to Israel. Surah 5, verse 21. Moshe speaks to the Jewish nation. Progress to the land that Allah promised you. Surah 7, 137. And then we got the tortured nation, the nation of Israel, got permission to progress to the Holy Land. And they inherit the east and the west, and all the promises who God promised the nation of Israel were kept. Quran, Surah 10, 93. And then God put the Jewish nation, Bnei Israel, securely in their land and gave them all the wealth. Surah 17, 104. Allah is mentioning history. We drowned Pharaoh and everything that he had with him. And later I told the nation of Israel, settle in the Holy Land and be together. Surah 28, 3-5, verse 3-5. I decided to have mercy to the weak and to make them the leader and inherit the land which I promised to give them. And many other examples. Nowhere in the Quran the word Jerusalem mentioned as a holy city to the Muslim. Nowhere. This is only in the last few generations. Yes?
We're talking about science though, aren't we? Is this about that?
I'm proving how do you know a book is divine and how do you know that the proof is not divine. Now, for instance, this is a book that 1.5 billion people follow and they're willing to swear that it's from God. Once there is a human error in a book, regardless of what human error, for instance, if I tell you that the Twin Towers collapsed in Brooklyn, we all know it happened in Manhattan. Is it possible that God gave me this book if such an error appeared in a book?
Didn't we also say that didn't Abraham also say that his wife was his sister?
No, Abraham said to his wife, say that you are my sister.
Okay.
Say.
Okay.
He didn't say, the Torah didn't say she was.
Abraham's wife was also saying that he was his sister.
No, Abraham said to Sarah, if you're going to say that you are my wife, they're going to kill me. Please say that you are my sister, otherwise they'll kill me. It's a life risk. Well, it's not a mistake. I can tell my wife, when we go there, if they ask you who you are, say that you are my sister. It's not, no mistake. This is what Abraham said. But I ask you a question, you didn't answer me. I ask you, if I came to you in the name of God and claim he gave me a book, and inside that book it says that the Twin Towers collapsed in Brooklyn, is it possible that I received that book from God, regardless of the rest of the book?
Start again.
Okay, again, I say to you, I came here, first time you ever see me. I brought a book, there's no religion yet. I come and I give you the book and I say, God made me the prophet, and you have to follow the instruction of his book. I'm the leader and you have to obey my instructions. And this is the book who God gave me. Now you open the book, first page, and there was a big explosion. The Twin Towers collapsed in Kings Highway in Brooklyn. That's what it says in the book. Is it possible that this book is from God, or 100% without a doubt we know right now that this is a fake book, it's not from God? Can God make such mistake? He doesn't know where the towers collapse? Possible? Not possible.
Sure. I said.
What? You're not giving a clear answer. Anybody think it's possible that God would write in a book that the Twin Towers collapsed in Brooklyn? Oy lanu if we have such a God, that he doesn't know what happened 10 years ago and where it happened. I have to dedicate my life to a book full of human errors like this. So in case you didn't know, in the New Testament it says that the cave that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is buried is in the city of Nablus, Shechem, when everybody knows it's in Hebron. So we've been there. There was never ever anyone who claimed that besides the New Testament. And the that's when I showed it to the priest, he didn't believe first. And then when I found him the source, it's in Act 7 in the New Testament, he almost fainted. He drank 17 bottles of water. Why? Because he didn't know how to get out of there. Because I told him before, if somebody would come, exactly the question I ask you, I ask him.
That's not interesting to me.
No, not interesting. We are searching now for the truth. Is it possible that a book that has such human errors, it's divine or no? That's the question. The reason I say it, because now I want to prove to you how do we know that the Torah is really divine. But in order for me to prove it, first I want to show you that two books that are very famous and close to 4 billion people follow, and some of them are willing to die for that book, are definitely not from God. That's step one for me. Now I want to show you how do we know that the Torah, it's for sure divine. How do we know? First of all, the Torah never had a mistake. Nobody ever found a mistake, such a geographical mistake, mathematical mistake, physical mistake in the Torah from the day it was written until this moment. Nobody ever say, hey, the Torah say this and it's not true. Nobody. And also, everything I'm showing right now, it's all come from the oral Torah. Why? Because many Jews saying, I believe in a written Torah, but I don't believe in the oral Torah. Why? Since it was transferred verbally, how do I know that the rabbis didn't make it more strict and larger than what God gave? Maybe the rabbis modify it and added all kinds of things, and what we do today, it's really not what God wanted. That's why I prefer to prove that the oral law is divine, and then it's needless to say that the written Torah is divine. Let me give the first proof for tonight. The rest of the proofs, I brought you 3 DVDs, as you can see here, Torah and Science. It's a beautiful film. It's divided to 3 sessions. First hour, proving scientifically, without any doubt, that the Jews stood in Mount Sinai and heard the voice of God and accepted the Torah in front of millions of witnesses. That's first part, it's proving. Part two, proving that the written and the oral law could never be written by a human being. The one who wrote the written and the oral Torah had abilities that is way above any smart or sophisticated human being ever lived. Which means a human being could never have that knowledge, no matter how smart he is. And that changed the whole thing, if you know that it's divine book. And the third part is teaching the purpose of life, the free choice concept, why righteous people suffer, why wicked people celebrate, what's going to happen in the afterlife. Many famous questions that every individual asks, whether he's a Jew or not, I answer in the third part of the movie. Let's move on. As I told you, in Christianity, it says that the New Testament is in Nablus. It says that Jacob went to Egypt with 75 people. And in the Torah, it says 70, and it's impossible that God made such a mistake. And part 1, he wrote 70, and all of a sudden, he wrote part 2, and he wrote 75. He forgot? What kind of God is this, that he doesn't remember the details in first book, and now he comes with a continuation and make complete contradictions? But there are many more. If you want, I also brought you a copy of the debate. You can watch it and decide for yourself. Now, let's give the first example. How do we know the book is divine? The Torah said to the Jews, I'm giving you this Torah for you to follow. If you follow it, I'm the faithful God who will pay you a huge reward for it. Not only here, mainly almost everything when you die. In your end, I will reward you in your end. Or in another verse, for you and your children forever. Forever means forever. Lecha ulevanecha ad olam, if you understand Hebrew. For you and your children for eternity. I will benefit you and your children for eternity for listening to me and following my instructions. What happens if you don't listen to me, God says? I'm reading to you a verse in Deuteronomy chapter 4. It says like this. I will spread you in all the nations. Did it happen or not? This was written 3,300. There's not one country that you don't have Jews. Even in Afghanistan you have Jews. Arab countries. All over. In Saudi Arabia you have Jews. In Kuwait you have Jews. In Syria you have Jews. In Iran you have Jews. Everywhere you have Jews. China you have Jews. Everywhere. I will spread you in all the nations. Only very few of you will survive. We are the smallest nation on the planet. 13.2 million people, that's it, Jews. It sounds like we are at least 500 million, because you hear about us on the news and everywhere. There are more Nobel Prize winners, Jews, than anybody else. And the Jews are not even 0.01 of the population of the world. And they contributed more Nobel Prize winners than all the Gentiles combined. 99.99% of the Gentiles had less in relation than the Jewish Nobel Prize winners in every subject you can think of. In the United States, for instance, 50% of the doctors in the United States are Jewish. 50% are not Jewish. How many Jews you have in the United States? Less than 6% of the population. 6 million. 6 million out of 300 million, you calculate. 2%, 3%, whatever it is. 50%, same thing lawyers, same thing judges. Very interesting. Such a small group from the entire country contributing very high number of intelligent people with knowledge, with education, etc. Same thing with wealth. In the list of the wealthiest people in America, the top 100, many of them are Jews in a much bigger ratio than what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be not even 1 out of the 100, if you compare. But there are very many big names. The richest people in America, many of them are Jewish people. So you see, this is a blessed nation, no matter from what direction you look at that. And the Torah comes and say, I will spread you in all the nation. Only very few of you will survive. This is a prophecy. A person could never promise such a thing. And what does it say? We started in the same generation like the Chinese people, 4,200 years ago. After the flood, the Torah described there was a massive rain, 40 days straight, non-stop. The whole world was covered with water. Everyone drowned. And Noah and his family got saved in a big boat that they prepared in advance, and the world restarted. And after that, Noah had a grandson named Sini. Sini in Hebrew means Chinese. Sin is China. Sini, Chinese. Grandson called Chinese. His uncle was Shem, our father. When you hate a Jew, how do you call anti-Semite? Anti-Sem. Sem is Shem in Hebrew. Shem, Sem, same thing. So anti-Semite means he hated the descendants of Shem. Shem was the uncle of China. So China is supposedly one generation after our father, but let's say the same generation. 4,200 years, 2 billion Chinese with restriction on birth. They're only allowed to have one kid. Not allowed to have more than one kid in China. Jews, up to 25, 30 years ago, had no restriction on birth until they discovered all the birth control. But before that, there was no way to prevent. No way to prevent. So Jews should have been at least 5 billion Jews, minimum, because we have no restriction. They have restriction, and they are close to 2 billion. We should have been 5 billion. Where did they go? 5 billion and became only 13 million. There's nothing to compare what it should have been to what it became.
The restriction of one is maybe for the last, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years, something less than that.
So I take it back.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Forget about the restriction on birth. We should have been just as 2 billion like them, because we started in the same generation. We are 13 million, 13.2 million. The reason for it is because God is behaving with his children differently than he behaves with the rest of the Gentiles. Which means the nation of Israel, as the Torah says, have special restrictions that the Gentiles do not have. Gentiles can eat whatever they want. Jews are not allowed. They have to eat only special food. The Gentiles not allowed to kill. The Jews also not allowed to kill. The Gentiles not allowed to steal. Jews also not allowed to steal. But the restrictions that the Jews have is 365 restrictions and 248 positive commandments. Together 613 laws. The Gentiles have only 7 laws to keep. A righteous Gentile that keeps the 7 laws and loves God and is faithful to him and is not ungrateful and he keeps the 7 laws, has the world to come. He goes to heaven of the Gentiles. It's a much lower spiritual level with less pleasure, but it's eternal. And a Jew, God forbid, who go against God and does not listen to his rules, God has the right to close the gate for that Jew and not let him enter to this. Why? Because he didn't follow the instruction of God. Which means there are Gentiles who are righteous and listening to God and fulfilling their purpose in life, and there are Jews who have no idea bichlal what they live for. You catch them, how old are you, Mr. Jew? 7 years old. Can you tell me what you live for? He has no idea. Do you know God? I'm not sure. Do you know the Torah? I never saw it. So he has basically no idea, 70 years, what even needs to be done. How is he going to be successful when he never learned 1 minute of his life what the purpose of life is? He doesn't even know if the Torah is divine. So inside this book, the Torah said to the Jews, I will spread you in all the nation, only very few of you will survive. Only, and over there, you're going to betray me by following false gods. The God of the wood and the God of the stone. God of the wood, God of the stone. What does it mean? We know that Christianity symbol is the cross, the wood cross. They say knock on wood, wood cross, that's the symbol of Christianity. The symbol of Islam is that big rock in Mecca, in Saudi Arabia. The Torah gave a hint. That's still not a scientific proof. It's a hint. Now comes the scientific proof. The Torah said there will be false religion, the religion of the wood, the religion of the rock. Islam and Christianity. How do I know that God referred to these two religions? Remember, this is 1300 years before it started and 1800 years before Islam. Inside that verse, you have a secret code hidden in the verse. You have the name of Jesus and the name of Mecca in the Hebrew version, in the Holy Language, appear inside this verse in an equal skip of 50. Yud, 50 letters Shin, 50 letters Vav. That's the name of JC in Hebrew, Yeshu. Mecca, Mem, 50 letters Chaf, 50 letters A. Eden inside in equal skip. Which means not only hint that there will be a religion that it's a wood and a rock. Inside the verse, he gave you two key words that leaves no doubt that he spoke about Christianity and Islam. This was written, remember, when no human being was able to know that in almost 2,000 years from now, it's going to be a religion of a rock, of a stone, or religion of the wood. How would he know? And then planted inside in equal mathematical skip. It's not coincidence, it's planned inside. Now, in case you wonder, there are thousands of hidden codes inside the Torah. Leaders in our generation, such as George Bush, such as Yitzhak Rabin, that was assassinated, the name of his murderer, and many other events in our days appear in the Torah in equal mathematical skip. I have a whole lecture in my website, Codes in the Torah. You can go, there's a famous book, Codes in the Torah. I don't have time to continue about this. It's a whole different subject. Let's move on. Next proof is the Torah said to the Jews, this is what you're going to eat from everything who lives in the oceans, in the water. Everything that have fins and scales, you're allowed to eat. Why? The concept of my Torah, of Judaism, is everything to become valid need two witnesses to testify. Two witnesses. One witness is not enough. We need two signs. So when I allow you to eat things from the water, I put two signs in them for you to know that they are kosher. When I allow you to eat certain animals, I also put two signs in the body of these animals. When I want to testify about the renewal of the moon, it needs two kosher witnesses to testify. Always two. What does it have to do, fins and scales? 72% of the world is water. Almost the whole globe is blue. 72%. How deep? All the way from uptown Manhattan to downtown Manhattan, they discovered already, which is 12 kilometers. It's much, much, much deeper, but the pressure is tremendous. It's very difficult to go very deep, more than 12 kilometers. Pressure is tremendous. So the point is like this. When the Torah was given to the Jews in Mount Sinai, more than half of the kind of the species that lives in the oceans and in the rivers were not even existed. Many of the fish that you see today are as results of mixing between one species to another and always recreating new kinds that were not exist 3,300 years ago. Sometimes naturally in the oceans they get mixed, sometimes artificially in museums, in all kinds of research in Florida, in Eilat, in different, the scientists are merging between one kind and the other and creating. In Eilat, in Israel, there is a museum with pools, and inside they tell you, this species was created from this, and this is what came out. This and this. Now, when the Torah said to the Jews, if you want to know if you permit it, if you're allowed to eat it, you don't have to know it. You can go now somewhere in the middle of the ocean and you caught some fish. You never saw him in your whole life. There's more than 40,000 different kind of fish. I'm able to remember all of them? No, of course not. I don't have to. There are more than millions and trillions of things that are moving all the times in the ocean, constantly, all over the world. I have no way simultaneously to see all of them. But the Torah told me you don't have to. Don't break your head. All you have to know that you have to see fins and scales. You saw it, it's kosher. Whether you know it, doesn't matter. No fins and scales, it's not kosher. Comes the oral Torah and comment on that verse. Remember I told you before, you cannot understand one verse without checking first what the oral Torah has to say. And what does the oral Torah says? Everything that have scales for sure have fins. I know, I created it. You will never find anything in the water all over my world that did not, if it had scales, it did not have fins. However, you can find things that have fins but doesn't have scales, such as a shark, dolphin. Many fish are smooth skin. But if you saw scales, for sure you're going to see fins, and all you need is to find one. You don't need to find 1,000. One, from now on until the end of the world, if you find one thing in the oceans, even those who are not exist yet, will be born in 1,000 years from now. If you find one thing in the ocean that have scales and did not have fins, that's the end of Judaism right there. Because it will be the first mistake in the Torah, and you will never find mistake in my Torah, because I'm not making mistake, I'm God. Now let's analyze it together. If a Jew is in a hospital, God forbid, and they brought him half a fish, he doesn't see the fins. They show him, Mr. Cohen, here, raw fish, you wanted a draw, you want to make sushi out of it, right? Here, take it. Now we see raw fish, half. You only see the head and half of the body. So on the half, on the body, he sees scales. He scratched the scales, they're falling off. But he doesn't see the fins. The Torah says you need 2 witnesses. You only have 1 witness. Where is the other one? You don't need. Because the oral Torah promise. If you had 1, the second one was for sure there. Now, do you know a human being that is able to promise such a thing 3,321 years ago? Show me. What person will take such a risk? First of all, what does it have to do with the book of laws? You want me not to be a thief? Fine. You want me not to be a murderer? Fine. You want me to observe the Sabbath? Fine. Why are you impressing me now with knowledge about the oceans, about the animals? Who cares? Why are you trying to impress me? I never saw in any other religion, in their books of law, any kind of impressive information about the brilliance of the creation. Never find. I never saw one prophecy in the Quran. I never saw one prophecy in the New Testament. As a matter of fact, 200 years after Christianity started, Christianity gambled, and they gave one prophecy. That's it. The Jews will never return to the Holy Land. After God destroyed the second temple, he will not give them a third chance. First temple, second temple, no more chances. And the Jews returned to the Holy Land. So about 12 years ago, we sent a letter to the previous Pope, how Mr. Yochanan explained that the Jews returned to the Holy Land. There are millions of Jews living in the Holy Land. So he answered, the Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. You decide what we ask and what he answered. Well, I don't see any relation.
You sent the letter? Who sent the letter? Oh.
Somebody that I was working with in seminars, he sent him a letter. The letter actually had also 2 more questions about the mistake in the New Testament, which you can see in my debate and in my Torah and Science film. But obviously I'm limited in time. I want to show you at least 3-4 proofs that at least nobody will get upset that there was not enough science. So let's move on. So the next proof is animals. The Torah says every animal, in order for it to be kosher, has to have 2 signs. It has to chew its cud, repossess the food, and have to have split hooves. Split means a cut in the hooves that goes all the way to the middle. Like a horse, it's complete, it's not cut. But it has to be cut. Now the point is like this, listen good. The Torah says there are 2 million different kinds of animals. 4 of them are exceptional. Make no mistake. Every one of the animals almost is not kosher. Horse is not kosher. Lion is not kosher. Leopard is not kosher. But there are 4 animals who are exception to the rule. They have only 1 witness. But make no mistake, they don't have the second one. The sheep, the cows, the deer, even the giraffe, the bison, the buffalo are all kosher. They have 2 signs. Dogs don't have any signs. They're not kosher. Horse don't have anything. But there are 4 animals. 4 animals that have 1 sign, and you may be fooled by it. Be careful. The pig, the camel, the rabbit, and the hare. 4 animals that have only one witness, either this or that, but not both of them. Now, why do I tell you this? If we are going to find one more species in nature that have one sign, not 2, 1, that's the end of Judaism right there. Why? Because God in his book promised, my dear Jewish son or daughter, I'm nervous, I'm worried, you know. I made already a few mistakes tonight. Too many in one night is dangerous. So, my children, my sweethearts, I want you to make sure not to be fooled. There are only 4 animals that may fool you. Now, if somebody come from Zimbabwe tomorrow and say, Rabbi, I heard your lecture in the internet. Here, I prove you wrong. You see this black animal, whatever, red ears, this. Look, it have split hooves. And it doesn't chew its cud. You see, you say that if there will be a 5th kind, that means God did not know about this. Why he didn't write it in the Torah? That means the Torah is not from God. That would be the end of Judaism. Now, let me ask you, let's be honest. We're searching for the truth here. We're not trying to win the argument. What person, even today, forget 3,321 years ago, even today with internet, with Google, with any kinds of technology that we have today, what person will gamble to write a fake book that's supposed to be the book of God? What person would write a promise in a book? From all the millions of different kinds of animals, 4 of them are in one category. 4, not 3, not 5. Which means it's going to be 3 or 5, it'll be the end of my book. Everybody knows I'm a liar. It's not a divine book. Now, do you know, today there are 2 million different kinds of animals. 2 million. 2 million. Imagine a person has 2 million children. Religious family that have 12 children mix their names already. For God, what's your name? Remind me. It's so much noise in the house. 2 million different children. Who would remember all their names? 2 million? You know what the number is? 2 million? All the way to the end of Long Island, you wouldn't get even to 100,000 people if they hold hands. There's no end to it. 2 million. You have to know all of them by heart. You have to know them perfectly from the outside, perfectly from the inside. You have to know and control all the future of the world to write such a thing. And no one can see the entire world simultaneously to promise what the world doesn't have. I don't know any one of you. Can I swear that one of you doesn't have a sister in Brazil? How can I swear such a thing? I can only swear if you have a sister, because I can bring her and put her around the table. But if you don't have, there's no way to swear. There is no way to promise that something does not exist in the world. And to be right 3,320 years, every hour, no, without any doubt. Nobody ever found it. This is a scientific proof. A person can never write it, but it gets much better. The next proof, the Torah says that the number of the stars in the universe, up to the generation of Galileo Galilei, in the year 1608, Galileo Galilei invented a telescope. It's really incorrect. That's what they teach in college. About 30 years before him, someone named Hubble, he really started it. And then he died. And then came Galileo and finished the job. So it's really a combination of 2 people. So Galileo had a telescope 6 feet wide. Up to that generation, which means up to the year 1608, every person in the world was willing to swear that there are maximum 8,000 stars. Why? People would stand on a mountain in a bright night and just manually count the stars. And it went between 6,000 to 8,000 stars, because there was no way to even imagine that there are trillions of stars. How are you supposed to know? Nobody ever saw it. There's no NASA, no telescope, no way to see. When Galileo raised this telescope to heaven, he was shocked, and the whole scientific world was shocked. And the Christian church killed him. because he got on their nerve. He said a few other things that the Christians didn't like, and they choked him in a special house when he used to choke the sinners. They used to put a person inside the place, they throw sand, and with the dust, person cannot breathe, and it fill up his lung, and that's how they used to kill people. Just like they did in the Christian Inquisition 500 years ago, killing thousands of Jews in Spain and in Portugal. Whatever they didn't like according to their way, you either with us or you dead, one of the two. Today they are different. Today they come with the power of the speech. They have millions of dollars and missionaries all over the world, and they come to try to convince you to follow their religion. Galileo was killed, but before he was killed, he raised his telescope and found out there are much more stars than what we imagine. Now, who needs Galileo when we have the Torah of God? Let's see what the Gemara, the oral Torah, told us 2,000 years ago. Now remember, this was accepted in Mount Sinai 3,321 years ago. The nation of Israel asked God, the Knesset, of the 120 chief rabbis and prophets of 2,000 years ago, not of today, of 2,000 years ago. They had a question to God, and they wrote it in a Gemara. Dear God, a person get remarried and never forget his ex-wife. For good or for bad. If she was a good wife, he never forget, he miss her. If she was a very bad wife, he still can never forget her. One way or the other, he will never forget. After 40 years, you see him on the street. Hi Moshe, how are you? You used to be married, right? No, I don't remember. What do you mean? You had a wife, her name was... I remember, you don't remember? Of course you remember. Everyone remember. So the Chachamim, the sages, ask God, a person get remarried and he still remember his ex-wife. And you, our father, you completely forgot about us. You've destroyed our second temple. You're throwing us to the exile now. We lose the land. We lose everything. How did you forget about us completely? Where are you? Save us. This was the idea. This is the answer of God. Listen good now. Amar la Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem answer. God says, 12 section I created in heaven. Now you're going to see soon what's the connection between the question and the answer, and how much we can learn from it.
Where is it in Gemara?
It's a Gemara, page Brachot, page 32. Masechet Brachot, the chapter of the blessings of the food, in page 32, in the left side of the page. So the Gemara says like this. God say, Biti, my daughter. 12, oh, here he didn't say my son, my daughter. Biti, my daughter. The entire nation of Israel, it's in a female language. In Hebrew, it's like Spanish. You have male and female in every object. In English, it's not always male and female. If you say you don't know if you talk to a man or woman. If you hear someone say to someone, are you coming? You don't know. But in Hebrew, you know right away. Atba or ataba. You know right away. So Hashem say, Biti, my daughter, 12 section I created in heaven. And in each section I created 30 armies. And in each army I created 30 legion. And in each legion I created 30 raton. And in each raton I created 30 karaton. And in each karaton I created 30 gistera. And in each gistera I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 stars. And all of it I created for you. Who is for you? The nation of Israel. And you have the nerve to tell me that I forgot about you and neglected you? That's the answer of God. You think because I destroyed the temple and I'm sending you now to Babylon or to Rome, do you think this was actually to Rome because it's the second destruction? Do you think I forgot about my children? Everything I created, all this galaxy for you, for the nation of Israel, the whole world is for you, for my children. And you think I forgot about you? That's the story. What are we learning from this story? Let's do the math. 12 section, 12, times 30, times 30, times 30, times 30, times 30, so 5 times 30s. 12, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, times 365,000, Ribo, Revava, 3 more zeros, 10,000, multiplied by 10,000. It gives us 1 and 18 digits after the 1. I think that in English it's called quadrillion. I think, but don't hold me on that. It's 1 and 18 zeros after. 10 to the power of 19. This was in a generation, nobody had a telescope, nobody had NASA, and nobody could see more than maximum 8,000 stars. You have to be crazy to write such a thing in a book and claim that it's from God. If you are a faker, nobody would ever dream such a thing. Let's do the math. It gives us 1.0643 times 10 to the power of 19. Very long number. Let's see what NASA has to say. NASA. We all know NASA, the American agency. In 1990, 21 years ago, that's all. Dr. T. Brewers from Queen Mary College from London had a research with mega computers, computer size of a building each one, and found that the 10 to the power of 19 stars in universe. And the interesting thing is, the satellites are taking pictures of all the galaxy. Then there's a huge computer. The computer count how many stains, how many dots. And then they come out with a number. I don't really care about their number, whether it's a little bit off or on, it doesn't matter. All I care is how those who claim that the Torah, it's not a divine book. They claim it's a history book. The rabbis made it. How should I follow a book from 3,000 or 3,000 years ago? The rabbis made it. Today it's a civilized environment, and I'm not going to follow these ancient primitive laws. But the Torah says that the Torah applies to every person until the end of time. Equally, no difference. Primitive, modern world, doesn't matter. Everyone is in a test here in life until the end of this world, God says. Now, how did a person was able to write such a thing in a generation that you couldn't see 8,000 stars?
So this 1 to the power of 19 is mamash in the Torah or is it in the Gemara?
It's in the Gemara, which makes it even greater.
It's an oral law.
Oral law,
not
which was very good,
available.
very good. It was transferred from rabbi to student, and just when the Jews were sent to exile, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, the founder of the Mishnah, he gathered all the oral Torah, which was groups of laws. He gathered it into what we have, Shisha Sidre Mishnah, the Mishnayos. And he gathered everything, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, and then came the Gemara, which is commentaries about the source, which was the oral law.
So is there something specific that this 1 to the power of 19 is connected to the written Torah? Do we have? Is there a direct
the written Torah
says.
The written Torah says that God blessed Abraham.
He saw to be so many stars.
Yeah. Now he gave him 2 blessings, which supposedly contradicting one each other. I'll give you an exactly, very good. So you catch very quick, Baruch Hashem. But for them, I will specify what I mean. Yeah, no offense.
So there's a Gemara as to how much sand there is in the.
No. Wait. No, I want just people. No, you're making very good points. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad. I didn't want to complicate things, but if you brought it up, I have to comment. So God will bless Abraham. I will multiply your descendants like the sand on the ground and like the stars in the sky. So the Goyim, the Gentiles, used to make a party out of this verse. You claim that you have the book of God. The atheist. They say, what kind of a book is that? There's a contradiction in the same verse. Not here and there. In the same verse, you have a contradiction. The first half of the verse is speaking about billions and billions of sands, and the other half is talking about 6,000 to 8,000 stars. So is he blessing Abraham or is cursing Abraham? If he will multiply his children like the sand, then it's a great blessing. It's billions and trillions, who knows? If he cursed him, he gave him only 6,000, a nation of 6,000 people. Even the Jews are 13 million. It's the smallest nation in the world. What kind of nation is this 6,000 people? It's not even a city. It's nothing. Then when Galileo came with this discovery that is much more, they went crazy. Because the Jews always used to say, not what you see, it's not what exists. We just don't see the stars. If God say that the stars and the sands are plenty, he knows what he's talking about. Today, with the help of NASA, everybody knows there are trillions and trillions of stars in galaxy. Because time is running out, let me just conclude. The Gemara spoke about 7 categories. Mazalot, 12 mazalot, 12 section. Chayil, armies. Legion, legion. Rahaton, karaton. Gistera, kochavim, stars. 7, one inside the other. 12. By the way, 12 is the horoscope, right? You have, take a pie of pizza. It's a whole circle, 360 degrees. That's a circle, right? Or like the watch, you have 12 hours. Each, from 12 to 1, it's 30 degrees. From 1 to 2, it's another 30 degrees. From 2 to 3, another 30. Altogether, 12 times 30, 360. Now, if the Earth is going around the sun every year, 365 days, the entire world that we live in is completing a whole circle around the sun. If you were born when Earth was between 12 and 1, you are Mazal Taleh, Aries. If you're between 1 and 2, you're Mazal Shor, a different Mazal. That's the horoscope. It comes from Judaism. Make no mistake. That's the source. The interesting part is that the non-Jewish Gentile, NASA or the Germans and the rest of the Gentiles, which have no idea about the Gemara, they came with a research with 7 categories. How they call it? Different names, but 7 categories. For instance, what the Gemara call mazalot, they call constellations. I'm not so great about these words in English. I'll try to read it slow. What we call, the Gemara call chayil, they call hosts. H-O-S-T-S. What the Gemara call legion, they also call legion. Very interesting. What the Gemara call raton, they call divisions. What the Gemara call karaton, they call battalions. What the Gemara call gistera, they call camps. C-A-M-P-S. What the Gemara call stars, they also call stars. Kochavim, kochavim. One inside the other. They have billions and dollars and research 30 years until they came with this number. A primitive Jew, 2,000 years ago, walking with his beard in Iraq, you know, in a market, buying vegetable, he knew it. He didn't need to spend $30 billion to find. Why? How did he know it? He read in the Gemara and he knew it. And the last thing for today, let's talk about the renewal of the moon. There are 3 ways to celebrate a year, according to the sun, according to the moon, or according to both of them. The Christians go by the sun only, 365 days and a little bit. That's the year. The Muslims go by the moon only, 354 days. There's 11 days and a third, almost, difference between the calendar of the Muslims to the calendar of the Christian, which means every 3 years you are losing 33 days, which is about a month. That's why the fast of the Ramadan that the Arabs have sometimes fall in August, sometimes fall in January. Sometimes the Arab freeze like this, they're hungry and freezing. Sometimes they're hungry and sweating. They don't care. One time is here, one time is there, it's no problem. The Ramadan, nowhere in the Quran it says that it has to be in a specific time. That's why they don't care. Christianity, they also saw that it's not balanced correct, so every 4 years they add 1 day to the calendar. February 21, make sure you're not going to be born in that day, because you lose a lot of gifts. Every 4 years you have birthday. Every 4 years, because the other 3 years your date is not in a calendar. There's no February 29. 3 days, February 29. February is 28 days. Every 4 years you have 29. Okay. Now, Judaism are going based on the sun and the moon. But we have a problem. How we overcome the mathematical problem? Listen good now, this is shocking. Mamash shocking. We have a problem. Why? in the divine book that God gave us in Mount Sinai, in front of millions of people who heard the voice of God speaking, it's written that Passover, it's the holiday of the spring. Pesach, Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring. Which means, if today we see that Pesach fall on January or February, right? That would be the first mistake in the Torah. The Torah says Passover, the holiday of the spring. What spring? January, we're freezing, raining, hail. What spring? God said He wants Passover always to be in the spring. That's how it was in the original Passover. That's how He wants His children every year to celebrate in the spring, beautiful weather. That's how it was. How do you do Passover to always be in the spring? This is what the oral Torah says, the Midrash. Be'ota sha'a, at that time, God informed Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, the laws and the calculation of the moon, and the tradition, and all the instructions. And he informed him how he's going to make leap years and the size of the months. Because the written Torah says, Shamor et Chodesh Aviv v'asita Pesach. Observe the month of the spring and make Passover there. What does it mean? Listen good. Every 19 years cycle, we're adding 7 more months to the Jewish calendar. Every 2 to 3 years, there's an extra month. The Jewish months usually are 12 months. But every 2 or 3 years, you have 13 months in a year. It's called Adar Bet. Adar Aleph, Adar Bet. Now, the month of Passover is Nisan. Nisan, that's the month of Pesach. Adar is the month before. Purim falls on Adar, Pesach falls on Nisan. What happened now if Pesach is supposed to fall around March? It's still cold in Israel. We're going by Israel time. It's still a little bit cold in March. April, it's already warm. But March is sometimes cold. We push an extra month into the calendar and postpone Passover by another month. So it will follow Nisan. That's why there's 2 Adar. It was supposed to be Passover in 10 days. No, it's going to be in 40 days because we push another month into the calendar. We postponed it by 30 days. It's going to be warm. Next year is fine. We don't need to postpone. Next year is also fine. The 3rd year, again, is falling on March. We push another month. And this is the trick. That's why every 19 years the Jewish and the Christian date fall in the same date. Other than that, like Christmas and Hanukkah, usually fall around the same area, but not exactly in the same date. But every 19 years, it's exactly the same date. This is how it works. Now, to conclude that, in the old days, there was no Jewish calendar yet. No Jewish calendar yet. 2 witnesses had to come and testify that they saw the renewal of the moon. And based on that, the Jewish court announced that it's the beginning of a new month, and that's how they count 10 days. And in a 10 day, it's Yom Kippur. They count 14 days. In the 14 days of Nisan, it's going to be Passover. Very primitive and very consistent. Now the Gemara tells us a story, and this is my last thing for today. The rest is in a film. Amar lahem Rabban Gamliel. 200 witnesses came to testify that they saw right now the renewal of the moon. How do you see the renewal of the moon? The moon disappeared completely for a second. Up, there's nothing. Up, and it's right a few minutes later, you see it again. In the beginning of the month, the moon is full. In a Jewish month, on the 15th of every Jewish month, the moon is full. From 1 to 15, it's rising, it's growing. From 15 to 30, it's decreasing. That's how it is. So now, listen good what happened. 200, not 2, 200 witnesses came and said, Rabbi, we saw the renewal of the moon. The rabbi told them he's sitting inside the building. He's not outside. They came from outside. All of you are wrong. So, Rabbi, you are inside and we are outside. 200 people. All of us saw the renewal of the moon. The rabbi told them, you're all wrong. Why?
They're not in the right place.
Why? We received from Mount Sinai a minimal cycle.